Yo, 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 people and patrons of the night. It is your boy BD. I am the host of the Horror Tavern. I am the Admiral for all things scary. And shout out to all the One Piece fans out there just like me. I am the Pirate King. Well, actually, it's more like the Pirating King, but we don't need to get into specifics. I am the host of the Horror Tavern. Welcome back to the one-stop shop for all things horror. And today we're going to be going back into horror movies, specifically a modern horror movie that I got the pleasure to watch. And this movie is one of the scariest horror movies I've ever seen. It is a gem for modern horror. It was terrifying. It had psychological horror in it. It has some really awesome creature feature stuff in there, some horrific body horror, violence, gore, stuff like that. Really creepy, really scary, really ominous. And this movie wowed me. I was very much impressed after watching this horror movie. And spoiler alert, this is going in the Hall of Fame of my horror movie, tiers. So this is in the Hall of Fame tier. So without further ado, let's talk about Antlers 2021. Antlers 2021 is a horror movie that was directed and written by Scott Cooper. I'm not much familiar with the stuff that he's done, the movies that he's participated in making. I haven't really watched before or heard of before. But he starred in X-Files, and he starred, I believe, in an Austin Powers thing, so there you go. But he did a fantastic job directing and writing this movie, in my opinion. And it stars an actress that I'm a big fan of, which is Keri Russell. Keri Russell is in this movie playing, again, that motherly parental guidance figure. She actually played a similar sort of parental guidance figure mother role in one of my favorite movies of all time. And I'm not going to say a guilty pleasure movie. This is one of the best movies of all time. Ain't no buts. All right, we ain't talking about J-Lo. We ain't talking about Kim K. Ain't no buts. Bedtime Stories with Adam Sandler and Keri Russell is one of my favorite movies of all time. A feel-good, funny, just movie that I loved as a kid, and I love it even now. So she was in that, and then she's starring in this movie, which is a completely different tone and plot of a movie. So it's great seeing her in this. And let's talk a little bit about the plot before I rave about all the different things that I like about this movie. So this movie is basically taking place in Oregon, sort of like a small, I guess, rural town in the middle of the woods of Oregon, the mountains of Oregon. And you show this small town and you get introduced to this little kid named Aiden Weaver. Aiden Weaver is this small kid. I don't know if he's like 5 or 6 years old. He's a young kid. Innocent looking kid, good little kid actor. And he is parked outside. Well, he's not parked. He didn't park the car. He's inside of a pickup truck that belongs to his dad, Frank Weaver. And Frank Weaver, his dad, is actually running a makeshift meth lab in this abandoned mine in Oregon with one of his homeboys, I think. And as they're running this meth lab, and as they venture deep into, the depths of the lab, because they try to put it really, really deep in there so no one will ever find it or, catch any evidence. Meanwhile, his son is just waiting out there patiently in the pickup truck. They start hearing these weird growling and kind of like animalistic noises inside of this abandoned mine where they're running this lab. And they start freaking out. They start taking out some torches, start walking towards them. They got a gun and shit, and they're ready to pop off because they think that there might be an animal in here. There's black bears in the area. There's other creatures, so they suspect maybe one of them might have snuck into this abandoned mine shaft somehow. And no, they get attacked by some unseen, vicious creature. You don't really get a good look at it. You just see the back of it, and it viciously attacks them and mauls them, but you see some antlers on it. And as this creature basically mauls and assumably kills them, the little kid, Aiden, ends up getting out of the truck after hearing the noises and ventures off into this dark mine, and then it cuts away. And you now get introduced to this school that's in this rural town of Oregon, and you get introduced to Keri Russell, as I mentioned. Keri Russell is sort of a new teacher in the town. She's teaching the elementary school kids there. I don't know if they're middle schoolers or elementary. I'm assuming elementary kids. And she takes a particular, fond attention to a kid named Lucas Weaver. And he's played by a kid, I believe, named Jeremy T. Thomas. He's a great kid horror actor, just kid actor in general. He does a great job in this movie. He's very endearing, very awkward, very shy. He very much fits the character type that he's supposed to play for the main character. He does a great job in this one, alongside Kerry Russell. And she takes a particular, I guess, fond attention to him because he's a very awkward and what seems to be like traumatized kid. You can tell he's very shy. You can tell he's disturbed. She sees these like vicious, like dark and disturbing drawings that he does, which is always red flags that a kid might be going through some type of childhood abuse or some weird stuff going on. She starts hearing rumors that, his dad might be a crazed drug addict and might be abusing him and his siblings at the house. So she starts trying to like figure out about Lucas's situation. She follows him home a couple of times towards like the middle of the movie. And you find out more about Lucas's home situation when you follow him back to his house the first time. And you see that the kid is strange because he's collecting roadkill all around Oregon. He'll go to these remote wooden trails. He'll go out into the woods and find roadkill and bring it home for what seems to be dinner. And that's just really fucking strange. You don't know if it's because he's poor that he has to eat this type of shit, they can't afford groceries or whatever. But as he gets home, you find out shit is not quite right because you see that there's a door in his house which has like 5 locks on it as if he's trapping some sort of evil force or evil thing behind there. And when he goes up to this, like, he doesn't go through the front door, but he goes through this little shortcut upstairs into the attic of his house. And it's dark, it's dingy, and you see his dad, Frank Weaver, the one from the meth lab in the mine shaft where he got attacked. He's actually alive. But he's not right. He's like pale. He's crawling around like he's got rabies or something. And you see that his little brother Aiden is also within this attic. And Aiden looks a little bit more coherent. He looks like, the kid that you saw earlier, except he's pale. He looks sort of sick and he's just eating whatever food Aiden is like foraging and bringing him. But his dad is eating, his dad is basically eating this roadkill, this raw meat. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? Because you find out that apparently after the mine shaft attack, that his dad, Frank, ended up getting very sick. And when he got sick and came back to the house, he knew something was wrong with him, so he decided to lock himself up in the attic, put the door with all those locks on there, and bolt himself shut in there because he knew that he could potentially become dangerous and he wanted to protect his kids. But eventually Aiden becomes sick, and the little brother Aiden has to get thrown into that attic as well. And you see that Lucas keeps supplying him roadkill, that Lucas will sleep outside of this locked up door place and just sort of hear these animalistic noises, these banging sounds from his dad on the door. And again, when the teacher, who Kerry Russell plays, called Julia Meadows, I believe, when she follows, she follows Lucas home because she wants to kind of get to know him. She kind of wants to become more comfortable with him, kind of be like that mother role figure that he doesn't have because his mother actually ended up passing away when he was young. And she buys him ice cream. She tries to make jokes with him. And again, Kerry Russell does a great job. She feels very much like a natural mother figure. You get a real intimate bond between her and Lucas. It feels very natural. And you find out that Julia Meadows actually, before her teacher career, as a kid, she ended up actually being abused by her father. I don't know if it's her stepfather or father, but her father abused her. It's hinted that he used to molest her, unfortunately, and she has a brother who's a sheriff police officer in this Oregon town, and unfortunately, due to the abuse she was facing by her father, she had to run away at one point, and she felt bad that she left behind her brother. She's been traumatized ever since. She moves back into the same house that her brother has been looking after, and every time she plays the piano, you get this really creepy scene of her dad being behind her and stroking her hair and smelling her. It's really uncomfortable. It's a lot of psychological fuckery going on that's really messed up, and again, makes you feel for Julia. And her brother, it's hinted, had gone through some horrible stuff while she ran away. So she feels very guilty about that. And she wants to help out this kid because she sees a lot of her situation in Lucas. Her mother passed away. She dealt with childhood abuse. Her father ended up committing suicide. So even though Lucas's father, Frank, is not dead or perceived to be, maybe she can protect the kid and give a ray of light in this poor kid's life. and he basically hints his family situation at school. So when she follows him home, she finds out that he's like, I guess, she basically goes to his house and the door is left open. And when the door is left open, she hears these animalistic, crazy noises, this banging, which is obviously coming from the locked door. And she ends up going to the school and telling the principal lady to, go check him out. She thinks that Lucas may be in an abusive household, that the dad may be a drug addict. You have to help out this kid before it's too late. And the principal reluctantly, because she has to be diplomatic, she decides, you know what, I'm going to drive over there, check it out. And she goes to the house, and things go wrong. She ends up finding her way into the attic with the dad, and he may or may not start going crazy and attack her and start eating her. Yeah, the dad goes full rabies mode, starts attacking and starts eating her. And as he's eating this fresh human flesh, something starts happening. And there may be some transformation sequences. You may find out that the thing that is plaguing this family is not in fact a sickness, not in fact rabies, but a demon, an indigenous Native American spirit and demon that a lot of you are probably very much familiar with, that craves human flesh and can transform people into true monsters. And that's where I'm going to leave it off, because a lot of you hearing about the title Antlers and a Algonquin, indigenous malevolent spirit that eats human flesh, a lot of you horror fans know what I'm talking about, so I'm not going to go further. But this is a fantastic movie. It's got a lot of great creature feature stuff when you get the transformation scene. After the first attack scene of Frank, the dad, attacking the principal and eating her flesh, there's a transformation scene that's fucking horrifying. It's one of the scariest goddamn things I've ever seen. May or may not involve something ripping itself out of his stomach from his mouth and antlers ripping open his head. That's horrific stuff, dude. And when somebody transforms into an actual creature, the monster design of the creature in this movie is awesome. This thing looks fucking badass. This thing looks like the real deal, son. Like this thing came down from the pits of hell, and when it came out of the pits of hell, motherfucker had the tourniquets wrapped around the fist. It had the black Air Forces on. Motherfucker was ready to throw hands with everybody, bruh. You get some awesome creature feature horror action in here. There is CGI. There is a lot of CGI monster stuff, but it's actually pretty good CGI. It's not bad or wonky looking, and I actually enjoyed the CGI visual effects. And towards the climax of the movie, you do get a practical effect costume of the creature, and again, it looks fucking metal. It is one of the most metal monster designs ever. It looks fucking badass, looks horrifying, and imagining being in the Oregon woods and this shit coming after you is horrific. It would scare the shit out of me, man. It would scare the shit out of me. And I'd blame it on the raccoons too. You can't say shit. You got no evidence. Okay, you said raccoons don't eat Chipotle bowls. Why you gotta be such a smartass, bro? This is why I'm gonna feed you to that motherfucker. This is why I'm gonna feed you up in that attic, bro. But anyway, again, good creature feature stuff. There's a lot of psychological horror involving childhood abuse, the idea that even though your family could be so horrendous to you, they are your family at the end of the day. And if your family goes through some tough times, you got to stick with them. And there's a really sort of beautiful message in this movie involving Lucas Weaver, the main character kid, where he's reading out this fantasy story that basically in class, the teacher, Carrie Russell, Julia Meadows, she plays a literature teacher, and she told her kids to basically write a short story, a short fantasy story based off of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And Lucas writes this disturbing story about the bears eating Goldilocks, and how even though that Papa Bear and Little Bear are really sick and not okay, it's all about Middle Bear having to stick with them and take care of them the best that he can, because they're his family and they have to stick together. It's really morbid, but it is powerful. It is beautiful when you think about it. I love the relationship between Julia Meadows, the teacher, and Lucas, the main character. They share that childhood abuse, trauma sort of, commonality between them. You get a real natural sense of a mother-son figure. You appreciate how much the teacher cares about the main character, how much the main character is very much awkward and weak, and he has to kind of own up to himself. And there's even a scene where he has to basically own up to his bullies, and you get the sense that he's becoming more confident. He wants the teacher to become closer to him, but he's afraid that if he gets her closer to his life, she may end up running away or seeing some bad things or getting caught up in bad things, which ends up happening anyway. So you got some good psychological horror in there. You got some good family message stuff in there. Not corny, it's actually powerful and stuff. And again, the creature feature stuff is great. The gore is great. And another underrated thing about the movie, it's beautifully shot. This movie has so many beautiful scenes. You'll get these fantastic 4K shots of the Oregon mountains, of the Oregon woods. There's one of my favorite shot scenes in the movie, which is Lucas Weaver, the kid, walking down these abandoned train tracks in the Oregon woods, and it's autumn. So he's surrounded by all these yellow and orange leaves and stuff. It looks beautiful. It looks heavenly. It's such a well-shot movie. I love all those cinematic, setting scenes, and really gives you that good sense of the atmosphere. And the climax of the movie is horrific. It's scary. It's got some pretty badass action. It's got some pretty good stakes in there. And the ending to the movie is symbolic in a way too, because the ending of the movie kind of has a moment where one of the characters is told, you can take care of this person, but if you love them, do you really want to keep them? Because you may have to kill them in the future. And that's, a really strong message at the end of the movie, that you may have to kill what you love. And do you protect and take care of that, or do you spare your own feelings and your own emotions and your own memories after how much trauma that character has faced? So it's a tough dilemma, but there's some good messaging and there's some good themes. And the very twist ending reveals that the creature in this movie has the ability to basically move to other hosts. And the host that they thought was going to be taken over is not. And it's actually a different character, and is a nice little twist. Nothing too crazy, but it's pretty subtle and kind of makes you ponder and think about what the future could be of the story and any potential sequels. I don't think they'll make sequels. I don't really want a sequel. I want this to sort of be a one-off individual movie, but it makes you think and adds some layers to it. So this movie is absolutely fantastic. I would give Antlers 2021 a get ready. I got the blazer on. It's a Hall of Fame horror movie, but how Hall of Fame is it? Well, as I power up with the doo-doo. This is not a doo-doo movie. It's the opposite of a doo-doo movie, but Mountain Dew. You get it. This movie gets a... I tried to find Vaseline. There's no Vaseline. This is Blistex, but pretend it's Vaseline. It gets a 10 out of 10. Lubrication needed. This movie is fantastic. It is scary. It is disturbing. It is deep. It's got themes to it. It's got layers to the characters. It's well paced. I was not bored throughout any of it. It's beautifully shot. It's got a bunch of fantastic things that I already mentioned. I give this movie a 10 out of 10. It's perfect. It's arguably one of my favorite movies of all time. If not, it's going to be in my top 5 favorite horror movies that I've seen so far. And do I recommend you check it out? What the fuck do you think, bro? You think I made this whole big-ass review just so I could be like, oh, don't check it out, bro. It ain't really that. This is that motherfucking shit. Go check it out. I love movies about the specific creature starring in it. A lot of you guys already know it. I'm not going to say it, but if you don't know what this stands for, put 2 and 2 together. Antlers, bro. I love stories involving that type of creature / spirit. I love the concept of it. It's so well done in this film, and it's 100% worth the watch. Go check it out. Perfect movie, and amazing time. That's all I got for today. Hope you guys enjoyed that review. If you did, there's something called the subscribe button. Hit that shit. There's something called the like button. Hit that fucking shit too. Otherwise, this spirit might enter you. And all I'm saying is if you don't want antlers popping out of your head or other orifices, the subscribe button and like button are there. It's free. We're in a tough economy. It's good to hit those free things. We are at 312 subscribers. If that can keep growing, if we can keep building up the community, building up the reach of my videos, it'd be amazing. comment down below your thoughts about this movie. Have you seen it? Did you love it? Did you not like it? Do you agree or disagree with me? What are your thoughts about it? And make sure to just interact. Helps boost the video up the algorithm, gets the content out there. And the main reason to do that is so that way a lot of you guys who've seen the movie can resonate with my review. You can feel like a homie's talking to you one-on-one about it, and we can all interact and talk about the things that we love, which comes down to HORROR. So stay tuned for more content to come. I obviously got more reviews, more fun stuff coming. So yeah, that's all I got for today. Hope you guys enjoyed, and deuces. The contrast between yesterday's video when I was in a shit-ass mood versus today's video when I got the golden light upon me is crazy. I think it's the blazer. It's definitely the blazer. You should always rock a blazer.